This is one of our major focus stories today, the flood emergency in Fort McMurray, Alberta, right in the heart of the oil patch. The local mayor is calling it a once-in-a-century disaster. Rising floodwaters that are as a result of a huge ice jam in the Athabasca River, about a 25-kilometer-long ice jam that they can't explode. They have to wait for warm weather simply to melt it down. Up to 13,000 people have fled so far under evacuation orders. And of course, the timing of this is just so difficult because right in the middle of the pandemic, a huge economic slump, the collapse in the price of the oil and gas sector, and just 4 years after massive wildfires destroyed 2,400 homes and other buildings back in 2016. My next guest has faced all of that, and now he's right in the middle of this current natural disaster. Looking there at Fort McMurray, I want to show you this picture, his current house. We'll tell you the whole story about leading up to this. The second house, which is in jeopardy after losing his first house 4 years ago. This is the story of Brian Jean, someone you know well from long-time life in federal and provincial politics, Fort McMurray MP, MLA, the former leader of the Wild Rose Party. He's in Fort McMurray live with me this morning, and good to see you, Mr. Jean. Thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
Your story is such a compelling one. I'm going to talk about your present house in just a second, but just so people understand, you're staying in what was your mother's home, right in the center of Fort McMurray. And what are you seeing outside your windows this morning?
Well, on two sides I have water coming, and it's a few feet away. Last night we pumped out the basement, and again this morning we pumped it out. So we're keeping the water at bay, but it's close. It's just feet away from all the windows.
Oh, my goodness. So that is a concern, the house where you are presently staying. But it's nothing, I have to say, yet, compared to what we're going to look at again, which is the picture that I was just showing of your home right now, about 20 kilometers away. Water everywhere. What's the status of your home this morning? Do you know?
I haven't seen what's going on. My son and my grandchildren were evacuated from there a couple of days ago, and when they were there, the water was about 3 feet high. And they were evacuated by an all-terrain vehicle that was good in water and ground. And I haven't seen since, I've only seen the videos, but I can imagine from what I know is there and how high the water is from the videos that there's not much left of any value. The house was about half to three-quarters of the way built. So
I was going to say, this is the home that you had to build after the fire destroyed your home 4 years ago. And was it finished?
It was not finished.
No.
The basement was just about finished. We were going to do the upstairs and hopefully have it done for this summer and possibly move in September. So that was pretty much the goal. Not
finished, not unpacked, but you would have had belongings in the home, though.
Oh, we had a lot of belongings. My wife had moved from Toronto, and all of her belongings, a lot of them all the ones she didn't lose in the fire, she's pretty much lost in a flood.
So what does that include?
Well, it includes all of the memories that you have from high school and from, she grew up in Sudbury, and all of those memories of her family in that area. So much of that she would have lost. I lost a lot of stuff. We were only in my mom's home temporarily. So, of course, you're moving things in. I still have a lot of my mom's things because she had just recently died. And so we didn't need a lot of stuff. So we packed all our stuff away in the house, which you can see from the pictures, has a large shop beside it. So we packed everything in there, and my son had all of his stuff. He only walked away, him and his children, with actually just the clothes on their back and a few things like that. They lost their vehicle, they lost everything. So, and that is not an uncommon story, and that's what my worry is the young children that have the mental impact of this happening, especially those that went through the wildfire before. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about the wildfire, and I myself, it's just something I feel that I have to talk about just to deal with it, because I want to deal with it and pass it on and get it behind me, because I want to look at the future. And that's the same thing I want to do with this house that's been ravaged, and hopefully the one I'm in right now is not going to be ravaged. If the water doesn't go up anymore, if it just continues down, it's gone down about 3 inches, I'd say, this morning from last night. If it continues to do that, I will have a home to move into. I've got to steam clean the basement, clean out the water, and pump out the water some more. But I'm not moving anywhere. I love Fort McMurray. I think it's the greatest place in the world to live, work, and play. It's an incredible place. And most people I know slag it, but those are people that have not been here or have been here and gone to the camps and gone home again and not really lived here. So I say to all of them, come on back. We have a great community, and right now you can get a deal on real estate. There's some great houses because of the fire and because of the economic slump.
Oh my
Some
goodness.
people look at opportunities as in high wages and all that kind of thing. I look at opportunity as opportunity, and there's no better opportunity, I think, in North America right now than in Fort McMurray.
Isn't that incredible how devoted you are to the region, and not just as a politician, but obviously it's on your heart. But as I listen to you, it's almost in disbelief, because I mean, I gave the litany of burdens the people in your community have had to contend with, not just the fire 4 years ago, which is still so raw, the flooding now. Everyone's in the midst of a pandemic and feeling the stress and uncertainty about that. And of course, the financial collapse, and you're right there in oil country. And yet there you are with a smile on your face. Now, how are you bearing up under all of this?
You know, Heather, I keep telling the same story. 4 years ago, I lost my son, 24 years old. It is still fresh. And this is just stuff. If you lose a loved one, it puts everything else in perspective. Sorry.
It's quite all right.
And there's a lot of people that are suffering, not just me, not just my family, but, you know, there's 15,000 people displaced. There was 80,000, 100,000 people displaced during the fire. But, you know, what do? You can't mope around. You've got to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and get on to the next day, because tomorrow's going to be much better day than today. You know why I know that, Heather? Is because Alberta is the land of hope and promise. It truly is. I love Alberta. It's got so much to give so many people, and that's why I know tomorrow's going to be better, because this is Alberta.
It is just stuff, and you can have that perspective because you've seen the worst of days.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing that perspective to us, and wish you all the best for your family coming back and getting that pumped out and started and being able to enjoy what looks like an absolutely beautiful home, Brian Jean, once it's going to be done.
Thanks, Heather, and thanks to all your listeners and all the support that people of Fort McMurray get. It's unbelievable how the people of Alberta, the people of Canada, have poured out their hearts and their wallets the last time in the fire, and I know they're going to do it again, because that's who Canadians are. We'll get together and we will overcome this and be better than ever before. I promise you we will.
Well, here's to that. Brian Jean, thank you for the time today in Fort McMurray.
My pleasure.